it is time for yet again another video, and I'm trying out a new camera angle. So you'll have to let me know in the comments down below whether you think this is better, worse, what you think of it. I'm very aware that this looks very messy, so if we decide to keep this camera angle, I might have to do something about that. And I much prefer the colourful look of the spices in the background, but I want to see what you guys have to think. Today we're going to be making banana chocolate chip muffins, and in my opinion it is the best way to get rid of overripe bananas that just need to be used up without you making a smoothie. So even if you're not a baker, this is the recipe for you. This is how you use up your bananas. I'm going to show you my bananas. I can smell them from all the way over here, and they're currently on the other corner of my bench, but this is what they look like. So they started going really yellow and ripe, and I put them in the fridge, and now they look brown and awful, but trust me, on the inside they're not that bad. They are still nice like this, but your bananas can look awful. You're just going to bake them anyway. So that is all I have to say. Let's get into the baking part of this. You're going to want to start with your 3 bananas and a bowl. Now you can do this any way you like. I'm just going to use a fork because that is what I have. Oh, sorry, you also need to preheat the oven. You want to go 180 degrees Celsius on bake. If your oven has a fan bake option, 160. You're also going to need a 12 muffin pan thing, and you're going to want to grease them or line them. I don't have muffin pans. I have a mini muffin pan and a 6-hole like cupcake pan. That's super duper flimsy, but I'm going to see how it goes. I might have to just bake another batch, like go 2 rounds in the oven, but that's okay. I'm slowly building things up in the apartment, you know. It's a long process. We still don't have a dining table, but we got our bedside tables and we got our TV unit. It's looking so much better. I could do an apartment tour on my other channel if that interests people. Yeah, let me know what you think. Another thing you can mention in the comments down below. Now you want to mash these. Once you're done mashing those up, they don't have to be super duper fine. You can still have big chunks in there. I actually prefer mine with the big chunks still in them. You're going to want to make your egg before we forget. Vegan egg, of course, and you're either going to make a flax egg, which I have said in previous videos, but I'll remind you again. It's a tablespoon of ground flax seeds and 2 tablespoons of water. Mix it together and set it aside. But I went to my parents and I got some of their all ground no egg replacer baking one, which I prefer to use. But when I went and got it, they just had these little resealable bags, which no problem with, but it's a white powder in one of the bags, and I've written egg replacer on it, but I'm not sure if YouTube will allow it, so I'm just gonna make it and not show you. I'll show you when it's not in the bag. So I'm just gonna put a teaspoon of egg replacer to 1 tablespoon of water, but it works perfectly well with flax eggs as well. You only need the equivalent of 1 egg, whatever replacer you prefer. So here I have the teaspoon in there, and I'm going to add a tablespoon of water, give it a good mix. And for those who are like, ooh, you just put banana in your eggs, my eggs are going to go with my banana anyway. They all mix together when you bake them. Regardless, I'm going to set that aside and it will thicken up a little bit, and we'll add it in when we need to. But for now, we're going to add in some cinnamon, some yogurt, coconut yogurt, or butter or oil, your choice. You just need to add some sort of fat. And I think cinnamon, but I don't know if I already said that. Now when it comes to spices, especially when cooking all of the time, I don't really measure. But I'm going to measure this, at least for cinnamon, just so you know how much I'm putting in. I'm going to just do 1 teaspoon, a level flat teaspoon, just like that. And this is the cinnamon. I'm also going to add in a pinch of ginger, If you had mixed spice at home, I would also add in a pinch of mixed spice. But I don't have any at the moment. I mean, both of these packets are new, so. And I can't get into it. There we are. Just a little pinch of that. A generous amount of salt. Now for this next part, you're going to need a scale, and you're going to want to weigh 80 grams of coconut oil, coconut yogurt, coconut oil, any other oil, or butter. I just couldn't say that one. I'm using coconut yogurt. Yep, that's perfect, bang on. It's about a whole tablespoon, a heaped tablespoon. You're then going to add in your sugar, 150 grams. You can use brown or white, it doesn't really matter. I am using white for the purposes of today's video. I actually found out the other day that some sugars aren't vegan because they put bone or something in them. I googled it because I was like, I've been using white sugar for forever. Turns out it's not really a New Zealand thing. Well, no, not that it's not a New Zealand thing. They just don't do it in New Zealand, which is where I'm from. So, nothing I have to worry about for now unless I go overseas. We're now going to add in that egg from earlier. Easy. Then you're just going to give that a good mix. Make sure all of your ingredients are incorporated nicely. It should be nice and runny. Now we're going to add in our dry ingredients and the chocolate chips, and that will be it. It'll be time to bake. Super duper simple, super easy, and not to mention delicious, but I'll let you be the judge of that at the end. In a separate bowl here that is beyond way too big for what I'm doing, I'm going to add in 225 grams of plain white flour. Which looks like it's about 1 3/4 cups. I'm also going to add in a teaspoon of baking soda and a teaspoon of baking powder. Alright, now we take our dry ingredients, give them a quick whisk to get the baking powder and baking soda through there. If you want, you can also add your cinnamon, ginger, and salt into the dry mix. Either way is fine. And then I'm just going to add it to the other bowl. And you're going to fold those in. This is quite a small batch or a small recipe. If you're making this for a family, you might want to make slightly more. They also last for up to 3 months in the freezer, so you can make a big batch, chuck them in the freezer, and then grab them for school lunches or work lunches as you need them. But I'm pretty sure that between Connor and myself, both have pretty big sweet teeth. We will eat them in enough time. When your mix gets about this way, you still have some streaks of flour, but it's mostly coming together. This is when you add your chocolate chips to avoid overmixing. Now the recipe, or I recommend 3/4 cup of chocolate chips. However, I'm just going to use up what I had left over from my chocolate chip baking video, which I will link in the information card in the corner, but I think it's reverse. That one? I don't know, but it will be up there. And I have, I don't know, I'd say it's about the right amount left. Who knows? At least it'll be nice and chocolatey. This is what I love about baking. It's a science, but you can get away with winging certain things. Like the amount of chocolate you put on a recipe or a recipe calls for, there's clearly a limit, but there's a lot of flexibility with it, which is awesome. Alright, now you just want to make sure that there are no dry bits of flour, dry lumps. However, if the batter is still lumpy, that's a-okay. So mine is now ready. You can see that there's still a few lumps in there, but that's not a problem. But I know there's no more dry clumps of flour. So now I'm going to grease my tins, put it in the tins, and we're going in the oven. Alright, so this is what I was meaning when I talked about the tins. I just have these little baby muffin tins, which will probably be a good thing. But it means that we'll probably feel like we can eat 2 or 3, when really, who knows, you can eat as many cupcakes as you want. So I'm just taking a little bit of butter on the paper towel, just dab it on, and I just rub it in them. At home, we have these cute little silicone cases, which are 100% way better, but they're not ideal if you're giving away the muffins to other people. But I mean, neither is this. But as I said, these are just for me and Connor, and I still don't think they'll last very long. I might have to bake something else. Just like that. Ooh, almost dropped it. There you can see a little bit of butter in them. They're nice and greased, slightly greased, and hopefully with any luck the muffins will come straight out. And the other ones I'm going to use, these are kind of like in between muffins and the mini ones, the cupcake kind of size. I really want a muffin tray of Texas size tins. Oh, Texas muffins are so good. Obviously, if you're making Texas muffins, you might only get 6 from this recipe, but I wouldn't be complaining. They're Texas muffins. And this one I'm going to have to fill on here because, as you can see, it's very, very flimsy and it might fall over, so we'll just put it there. Now, your last and final step is to use a spoon or an ice cream scoop and just put the mix in the muffin tin. It will rise a little bit, so you don't want to overfill them, but you also don't want to underfill them. That makes it sound complicated. It's really not. Put as much mix as you want in, but if you put too much in, be prepared, you might have to clean your tins. Mandatory batter test. It's good. Alright, we're going to cook them and see if they taste just as good once they're out of the oven. In they go. Now if you're making normal size muffins, you're baking them for 20 to 25 minutes at the oven temperature I said at the beginning of the video, which is 160 degrees Celsius if you're doing fan bake and 180 degrees Celsius if you're just baking. Then however, if you're doing smaller muffins like me, you probably want to bake for only 15 minutes, or at least check them at 10 to 15 minutes. So I will see you in 10 to 15 minutes when we will check the muffins, see if they're done, and I will be refilling, but I won't show you that. And another 5 minutes after they cool down in those tins, it'll be time to taste test. You bet it'll be time to taste test. See you soon. Alright, I can smell them. They smell good. So let's have a little peek. Okay. Let's check. I reckon they could use a tiny bit more colour just by looking. However, we have got a little bit of gold in, so that's a good sign. We don't have any toothpicks, so I'm just going to use a paring knife and stick it in. No, not cooked yet. See? I really shouldn't hold a knife like this, but you can see the bottom of the knife there is wet with batter. That means that it is not cooked yet, and we need to put back in, probably for another 5-10 minutes. Don't want to burn ourselves. Oh, that colour looks so much better. We'll check them again. I don't know what happened to that one. I must have underfilled it. Whoops. Clean our knife so that we can try again. Oh, it's got a nice crispy outside too. And that is a good sign. That is just melted chocolate. No batter, no nothing else. Melted chocolate. So that was 15 minutes. It was actually closer to 16, but I will say 15. Now all I'm going to do is let them cool down for 5 minutes so I can actually touch them. And then I'll put them on a cooling rack. You don't need to see that. And then I'm just going to fill them up again and put them in the oven because I still have this much mix. So I will see you again when it is time to taste test. Pull them apart, see what they look like on the inside, and let you know what I think. Alrighty, so don't mind that little second bit, that's just my lunch. But that is my last batch of muffins that have just come out of the oven. So it is now time for a taste test. And to let you know what I think, show you the inside, show you how nice, soft, spongy, delicious they are. And yeah, so we're going to start with the ones I have over here. And I think I'm going to have a medium sized one. So I'm just going to rip it open, and there you have the muffin. It is nice, soft in the inside. They probably could have done with a tiny bit less in the oven, but they're still beautiful and moist, and they're nice, light and fluffy. They aren't super duper dense. And you can see the big chunks of banana like up in that top there. I'm not sure if you can actually see that. But now for the best part. The chocolate's so soft. Big chunks of banana, beautiful taste. You can get a tiny hint of cinnamon. Can't taste the ginger at all. And it's delicious. Sorry, I forgot to mention, the recipe will be linked in the description box down below, like a written ingredients list. So if you just want to follow along with that, you're more than welcome to do that. You can also write down that recipe and use it for future if you decide you like it. As I said, it's a brilliant way to use up old ripe bananas that you just need gone. Not to mention they're delicious. I don't know how many of these will actually survive, but I guess we'll find out in a week's time. Until then, yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Please remember to subscribe, hit that bell notification icon, and check out any videos that you think might be shit. And I'll see you in the next video.
Living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days.